you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There, ladies, things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys here. As always, we have the most amazing, brilliant minds in the shows, the CEOs, the billionaires, the authors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, the people who shape and mold this world and tell the most amazing stories to entertain us, to educate us, and make us smarter. Geez, I just made that up, and it sounded perfect, didn't it? Should have recorded it. Oh, wait, we did. The Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, but we don't loan you money. So refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the interwebs in the sky. We have an amazing multi-book author on the show. You've likely heard of him. His new book is out called Helldivers, the series finale. It's Helldivers 12 Heroes by Nicholas Sansbury Smith, and it's out August 6th, 2024. Oh my God, we're in August. It's August 1st today, isn't it?
It is.
I'm not ready. I'm still in January, damn it. His series has been amazing. It has done over 1.2 million copies sold. It is over 138,000 book reviews across all platforms, including 37,000 on Audible alone. New York Times and USA bestselling series, named Audible Top 100 Series of All Time. That's pretty darn good. 2016 Indie Forward Review named it the gold winner for Best Science Fiction. 2016 Audible Science Fiction Best of 2016, and narrated by the iconic award-winning audiobook narrator R.C. Bray. I guess he steals a little bit of your thunder there, Nicholas. He is the New York Times USA bestselling author of the Helldivers series, the Orb series, the Tracker series, the Extinction series, the Sons of War series, and the new E-Day series. He worked for Iowa Homeland Security and Emergency Management and Disaster Mitigation before switching careers to focus on storytelling. Welcome to the show. How are you, Nicholas?
Thank you. I'm great.
There you go. That's quite the impressive resume you got there.
Yeah, I've done quite a few things before I started writing, but the career stint that I did here with Homeland Security in Iowa, that I think really inspired a lot of my writing. I think readers can see that because I'm mostly focused on post-apocalyptic fiction. Mm-hmm. Helldivers is set 250 years in the future after a nuclear war kind of devastates the planet. And the Helldivers are men and women that keep the airships in the sky. That's where humanity lives now. I've been writing this series since 2014. They started publishing in 2016 with Blackstone Publishing. And you mentioned my narrator, R.C. Bray. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic. He's the guy behind The Martian that you probably saw on the big screen. Huh. He's just a fantastic legend voice actor. And I'm very lucky to have him voice the series for so long.
Mm-hmm. How many books do you say you have in all the different series that you run?
You can kind of see him back here, if I'm pointing correctly. I'm not at my main office, so they're not all here, but I have 45, I think, that are actually published, and then I have a couple that are in the pipeline. I usually do 3 to 4 books a year. I've slowed down a little recently, had a couple kids, and
I'll slow you down.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll definitely slow you down. Well, it's wonderful to have you. We have a lot of the authors on that are multi-book authors that are prolific like you, where you put out a lot of stuff. What's it .com that people can find you on the interwebs?
Nicholas Sansbury Smith. That's my full name. So just type that in. That's how you find my books too, on Amazon or wherever you like to purchase them.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside the new book?
Well, the new book kind of is the end point of this long adventure that the main character, Xavier Rodriguez, has been on for these 12 books. And when I wrote the first one, it was supposed to be a standalone, and it kind of leaves the reader hanging literally with Xavier in the sky. These are paratroopers, essentially. Helldivers are. So this last book kind of sets up the the end showdown between X and this weather technology that's supposed to restore the planet. So I won't say what happens, but he finally makes it to the one place that can bring back the world.
Oh, wow.
So, and he's there with his dog Miles, who readers really have taken a liking to. There's quite a few characters that didn't make it to the end of the series. But the few that have, I think, are the beloved ones like X and Magnolia. She's a helldiver, and then Ted, who becomes a son-like character to X. And so, yeah, they're all at the ends, and I'm excited to see what readers think of this last chapter in the main storyline.
There you go. So why do they call them helldivers for those who aren't familiar with the series?
So, yeah, I get this question a lot because there's other IPs out there with the name Helldivers, including the video game, which just became super popular again. Helldivers are men and women that skydive into these storms that are ravaging the planet after this nuclear war, and they retrieve parts and they scavenge and they look for habitable zones, and then they return to these airships, and they help keep the airships in the air until they can find a habitable place. Of course, all of this is explained in the series and whether they actually find habitable places, which they do. But I called them Helldivers because of the bombers during World War II. They were called Helldivers. That's where I kind of came up with the name, and I really liked the idea of naming them after those bombers.
There you go. Helldivers. Sounds like my first 10 marriages. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what it means. There you go. So tell us a little bit about you. People like to hear about the author early on. How did you grow up? What influenced you? When did you finally find you had this knack for writing?
I've always kind of liked or enjoyed writing. I have a twin brother. He is an artist. When we were little kids, I'd be writing stories and he'd be illustrating stories. And I went to school at the University of Iowa for a degree in political science, and then Drake University for a master's in public policy. And I'd always worked for the government in my earlier career. Ended up at Iowa Homeland Security working in disaster mitigation, doing a lot of planning work, seeing with all the ways that all the things that threaten Iowa, which surprisingly there's quite a bit. And then, of course, all the threats to the country. I worked with FEMA quite a bit as well. And I started writing for fun back then again, and decided to self-publish a book, a post-apocalyptic novel. The first one didn't really do a whole lot, but then I got serious about self-publishing and learning how to market and learning how Amazon works. And my second book did really well. It went viral. It was about an alien invasion, and got an agent and got a 3-book deal with Simon & Schuster. And then started publishing more and more, and left my job at Iowa Homeland Security, and I've written about 50 books since then in the past 10 years. So I used to do a lot of triathlons. I did a couple Ironmans, and recently I've started a family. We have 2 kids now. I'm married. I live in Iowa, and I've slowed the writing down a little bit, but I still love it. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with these post-apocalyptic stories, but it's what I like to read too. So I always tell people that, the best stories are usually the ones that you want to read yourself. So write what you like, and that's kind of what I've done, and it's worked well because fortunately for me, it's a popular genre and it's stayed popular.
Yeah, science fiction. I grew up reading a lot of science fiction.
Yeah.
Alan Dean Foster was such a prolific thing in my era. So I read a lot of science fiction stuff. Of course, there's a great movies, Star Wars, and all that sort of great stuff. What do you feel has made this series so endearing to readers? I mean, it seems to be very beloved.
Yeah, I think, again, I'll say that my narrator has brought it to life in a way that I think people have really, really enjoyed. I can give you some examples of things that he did that I would never have thought about. So a lot of the time you think a narrator just has a powerful, great voice that's able to bring these characters to life in a way that people love. Well, R.C. Bray, he actually does some interesting stuff. So in Helldivers, it's 250 years in the future. So if you think about that, that's quite a long time from now. If you think 250 years in the past, people spoke differently. Obviously, there was no social media. Technology there just wasn't anything, right? So I think when he started reading these books, and I never talked to him about any of this stuff. He did it all on his own, but he would pronounce words incorrectmi, even that I wrote correctly in the text. So like Miami or something, he'd call it, I can't remember exactly how he called Miami or But there's all these different words that he's used that he's mispronounced, and just brought the narrative to life in a way that is different than I think other narrators have done for some of my other work. And they're all excellent in their own way. But R.C. Bray just really kind of thinks outside the box and tells Helldivers in this. I mean, he planted himself in this universe and as a character almost. So that's part of it. I think a big part of it is also the characters. Xavier Rodriguez he's called Immortal. By the end of the series, I've gave him a couple nicknames, but people really seem to love him and his dog Miles. And there's multiple other characters too. Other thing that I did, I think that people liked and didn't like, is kind of what I liked and didn't like about The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. I killed quite a few people off and no one was ever really safe. So gotten a lot of grief about it, and frankly it's hard to write some of those deaths because I've spent so much time writing in this universe. It feels sort of real to me. So I think those are kind of the big things. Also, it's just a kind of a unique concept too. There's not a whole lot else like that, and that was really my intention when I wrote this series, or when I wrote the first book and my agent pitched it to all these publishers. I wanted to come up with something different. And at the time, I mean, you've probably heard of Hugh Howey and Wool, which is a big show now on Apple TV. Yeah. There was a very popular subgenre in post-apocalyptic about people living in bunkers, and Wool was the top story out there, still probably is. And I started thinking, what if people are living in the sky, living in airships? And so that kind of started the idea. And then I came up with the Helldivers, and then I came up with kind of what these storms are like, and why this isn't just a normal, well, I shouldn't say normal, but this isn't just a nuclear annihilation type book. This is nuclear warheads on crack, 100 times more powerful than anything that we have right now. So theoretically, some of the science behind this book is, I think, also kind of interesting with the way the creatures, how I explain the creatures. But the last thing I'll say on why I think that the series took off is because a lot of the things I'm talking about, I don't reveal right away. There's a lot of mystery behind it. So I think it kept people wanting to know more about how the world ended. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm working on a prequel that I really took some convincing from my publisher to get me to do this, because I felt like it could give away so much of this mystery. But then again, I decided, this might be a good way to bring new readers in too, to see this world. So yeah, a lot of different reasons, but most of them worked. And that's what you do as an author. You try new things, and sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. For Helldivers, a lot of the things worked, and I think people enjoyed it. So I'm really happy about that.
I think it's pretty cool because, like, you think about it, and most post-apocalyptic sort of nuclear thing is, well, we go underground and we just survive underground, and imagine it's got to be hard to survive underground. Plus, you need lots of water. And imagine with Helldivers, you can get water from the atmosphere or something, or maybe something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually have water treatment plants on their ships, and when I was researching these ships, it was 10 years ago, the military was really starting to introduce like prototypes that are they're not in use yet, but I'm sure you've probably seen in the news or saw online these massive airships that the military is wanting to build. And now there's even like cruise ships that they're talking about doing as airships. And so that's really what, when I'm talking about these massive airships in my book, that's what they are. I mean, they're cities, they're floating cities, essentially.
Floating cities. You gotta love it. That makes sense though, because, and then of course you're above maybe the atmosphere of the storms and stuff. So, if you're down on the ground, I mean, it seems like some of that radiation would get down there somehow or whatever. So that makes sense. I like the premise of it. It certainly puts it in a different place than most people do. So it gives the uniqueness. So it's definitely popular. What do you see the future of the series, or the future of what you're going to be writing about? You said you have a few different projects in works.
Yeah, I did a side story that I just finished. It's about one of the civilizations that's kind of been hiding on the ground for 250 years, and they are in a habitable zone is what I called it. And I'm working on this prequel. And then I I have a bunch of ongoing series. I'm working on a new concept that's sci-fi. It's like grumpy old men in space, kind of. It's like, this is the pitch. Like, I'm trying to do some stuff that's more humor related. Like you mentioned Star Wars earlier. The newest series I've done is called Galaxy in Flames, and it's kind of my Star Wars, I guess you'd say, where you have very interesting odd alien crews, and just it's more fun based. A lot of my older stuff, especially Helldivers, is darker. It's post-apocalyptic. I like to try new things, and I kind of took a little bit of a break from post-apocalyptic when I had when my wife and I had our daughter 3 years ago. I think becoming a dad kind of made me like shift a little bit from the post-apocalyptic genre, but I'm now getting back into it, and I have another series called The Map that I've been working on. That's just purely based in reality. It would be kind of like, what's this? There's quite a few like EMP novels out there, and I've written one of those before, and this would be similar to that. It'd be based in reality. Utilizing my background in Homeland Security, I'd try to make it as realistic as possible.
There you go.
Wouldn't be any monsters or sci-fi involved.
There you go. I like the grumpy old men premise. I have this, that probably if I don't know, enough time had passed, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau probably would have eventually done that. Grumpy old men in space.
Yeah, as clones or something weird. I don't know.
They have AI now. You could probably do that on a movie. So
the sci-fi genre has changed a lot since you and I probably were reading as kids. Like, I read a lot of the classics, and still have those things are still popular, but a lot of what sci-fi has gone to now is these lit RPG books. Have you heard of lit RPG at all?
No.
Like Ready Player One, you probably heard of that.
Okay. We had Ready Player One on the show. No, hold on, we didn't. That was a different book. We had one that was similar to it on recently.
Yeah, it's a hugely popular genre. It's basically video games and books, and I can't explain it all myself. My nephew's staying with us right now. We're at our cabin, and he's playing Fortnite, and all this stuff I'm seeing. I don't understand any of it, but it's so popular in books.
Yeah. In fact, they're doing movies out of videos. Yeah. I mean, there was like Halo was recently on Amazon, I think it was, or Netflix, or one of the places, and I was like, people really, when you have that sort of fan base for, Halo, the game had such a fan base for so many decades. I'm still waiting for Modern Warfare 3, I guess. Maybe there'll be one for Destiny, the movie. I know that was a big fan base. I'm not sure how much people care anymore. But some of these different venues, you might as well make them. I think there's been a few other genres for it, but maybe there's a future video game. I'd love to see this in the movies. That'd be a great thing to watch. Yep. I think being in the sky makes it all so unique and so cool.
It is. It also makes it super expensive to make. I've been working with, and his company is Arid Productions, and they're making Borderlands right now, which is a video game. They're turning that into a movie. He did Uncharted. I think that's what it was, with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. He's done quite a few movies. He was also, I think he was the producer of the first Iron Man. So I've been working with these guys for a couple years on the Helldivers concept, and it's kind of, there's a script being put together, and so there's possible that it could become a movie at some point, but it's pretty hard to get a book made into a movie when it would have a huge budget like this. I'm hopeful, though. There's been so much talk about the Helldivers movie.
Well, yeah, you guys have such a huge following across social media. Final thoughts as we go out to pitch people on the book and get them to pick it up and all that good stuff.
Well, I would say that if you're a listener, which I know there's a lot of people that love audio now, I think the first book is actually free on Amazon, on Audible Plus right now. So you can get into the series with just an Audible account and see if you like it. And then you can binge it for 12 books if you really do. It's a fast-paced, mysterious, suspenseful story. There is humor in it. I think I've tried to add everything possible to keep readers engaged over these 12 books. And so the one really cool thing about it is I'm pretty critical of my work usually, but I will say I do believe that each book gets better than the last. So I've always spent, the Helldivers series has always been a series that I've written one per year instead of trying to pump them out real fast, always taking time to try to make this the best story possible. And I believe that it is the best story that I'm capable of telling. And I really think people that like apocalyptic fiction will enjoy it. And you can't go wrong with the audio. There's also some really beautiful hardcovers that Blackstone Publishing has put out, and wanted to say thank you to them as well. They set up this talk, and they've been a great partner, great publisher. They started off in audio, and now they're doing everything.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're booking a lot of great people with us. They signed over a lot of folks.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, we interview a lot of great authors. I think they're stealing all the authors from everybody the way they're going.
Yeah, they've gotten some really big authors, and I've been with them since 2014. I did my first audiobooks with them, and then Helldivers was the first multi-format book I did with them in 2016.
I remember when they first started booking us, because Simon Schuster, Penguin Random House, and all the big houses, and they're a big house now, I guess. They always book with us, and I was like, who's Blackstone Publishing? But good for them. I mean, they're kicking ass, taking names, and
they are.
We have a lot of their great authors on the show. In fact, I think we almost get more from them now. We get a lot of romantic comedies from Simon Schuster and Penguin Random House, but we need more toxic politics, because for a while there we were getting lots of good stuff from the prior administration, but scandals and woes and everything else. But now it's been really boring. We need President Biden to do more scandalous stuff, I suppose. Anyway, fun is fun. So please come back for your future books. We'd love to have you. We have the Tom Clancy people on all the time. I think there's one next week, and they're on they're multi-book authors like yourself. They're on just about every 4 months on the show.
That's cool. Yeah.
Different projects. So we'd love to have you again.
Awesome.
So thank you very much. Give us your .com so people can find you on the internet.
Yeah. It's NicholasSansburySmith.com.
There you go. Divers 12 Heroes, out August 6th, 2024. Thanks to Arnott's for tuning in. Thanks for Nicholas for being here. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity, all those crazy places on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.